Hey everybody, Al Chessbreach here, and today we are talking to the Frontier team once again. That's right, everyone. It's been quite a while, but we've got a few team members here, so I guess if you guys could introduce yourselves, and we'll just go from there.
I'm TG Spy. I'm the project manager, and I'm sort of just in charge of keeping things on track, making sure everything's going well, and doing a bunch of other shenanigans in the meantime.
I'm Mind Boggles. I do custom creatures, animations, models, NIFs, and world spaces now.
Yeah, she does it all. I'm Jack. A lot of you know me as a Wei GSN of the Nexus. Yes, I'm a former current modder, I guess. And my role is primarily doing visual effects, weapon effects, explosions, all the boom booms, trying to make Michael Bay proud.
And I think from the last time I saw footage, you were doing Michael Bay very proud. I'll say that.
Why, thank you.
So yeah, I guess to get started, what are you all working on mainly at this point? Because it's been about 3 years, I think, is the last
Yeah.
time.
We're all sort of in a bit of a lull period at the moment. We're still working on stuff, but a lot of us have been working for, quite a long time on this project now. Some of us are going, 5 or 6 years now. So uh, I'm personally just working on fixes. I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of months making sure that everything's up to scratch, finishing off quests, fixing other broken things because there's a lot of those. Yeah, just a lot of fixing, honestly.
Yeah, same here. Mostly fixing, also wrapping up set effects. There's always more visuals to wrap up here. So that's what I'm involved with.
I'm currently working on expanding the world space. They want it bigger,
Yeah, we're very greedy.
so it's going to be about 4 times bigger than it was.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Just for clarification, when we say it's 4 times bigger, a lot of that, or almost all of this new space, is strictly used for LOD.
So you can't see the edge of the world.
Yeah, essentially, so you can't see the edge of the world, because we did have that problem with the current world space. It's very limiting, but we're getting
Yeah,
it.
so sorry, all you flat earthers.
Yeah, you will not see the edge of the world here. Yep, or the edge of tomorrow.
It will have a
Yep, it will
beautiful
be curvy.
LOD
It will be
protecting it.
beautiful. There will be mountains, but you cannot climb them.
Poor Todd.
Curvy.
Aw,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just there to tease you.
entire
those
mountains will just be Todd.
Yeah, it's called a peak tease.
3 years since we talked. So, like you said, you I guess in a lull period, smoothing things out. But how has the frontier, I guess, evolved since the last time we talked? Like,
Jam, you want to start with that?
Oh my God, it's grown. It's grown a lot. For my part, there's like 40 new unique creatures that have been added into
40 creatures.
wow.
all completely custom animations. You won't see them anywhere else.
Since the last time we did one of these Dead Diaries, I would say the Frontier has evolved from a mod to a game in a sense. Just there is so much new content that we've added in the last 3 years, especially since we've been hiring new people. We've been adding new people to the team. There's lots of new quest makers, lots of new interior makers. A lot of that comes down to simply us expanding our team, trying to um, bring as much of the community as possible into this mod, because at the end of the day, this is a community mod. We are a community of modders, and essentially, yeah, it's evolved. As Jam said, there is so much new stuff that even I, as as project manager, I'm the one who goes in game and tests everything. I'm still finding stuff that I've never played and never tried out before. 4 years later, like even some of my own stuff that I made years ago, I'm still going back and saying, "Wow, that's pretty neat."
Basically, we
Realised I had
can't
that.
keep track of it all. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
We've lost track.
There's so much stuff that we put a essential permanent ban on new content aside from main quests, because we just can't keep track of
Right.
everything.
There would just be hidden quests that
There are
Feature
hidden
creep
quests.
can be
Yeah.
indefinite.
Oh yeah, yeah. There is serious feature creep at times, but we've massively shrunk back on that because it does kill productivity to have to go back and fix things a dozen times over because people keep breaking things or things are getting added that aren't being told about.
Yeah, that's always been, I guess, something that I always noticed about the Frontier team. Like, it's such a huge mod, yet you all keep it together. It just seems like it would be so unorganized with so much content you've created, but yeah, you've just figured out, I guess, a system or something that just works.
Yeah, regular beatings.
Yeah, regular meeting, government mandated corner time. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I'm on a timeout.
Now, is that voluntary or is that
we can't say.
okay? All right,
Jack signed an NDA. Can't say anything.
gotcha. You'll have to complete one of the hidden quests where you free the developers from a basement.
We're going to put that in.
We can add that in. Yeah. At one point, we did actually consider adding a basement interior that had all of the developers as skeletons in front of computers.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes, chained to a computer.
Yeah, chained to a computer. Jam would be
And
getting
guess who holds the key to said dungeon?
Just a random mod user is just the key to that dungeon. It's like, let us out, please.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I guess I'm gonna jump forward a little bit. But how do you guys manage? I guess so many people working on so much content at once.
Honestly, it's a lot of grunt work. Essentially, I have to keep track of a lot of people. Essentially, I just message people constantly, like, "Hey, how's this going? Hey, what are you doing? Is everything okay? Do you need help?" Jack and Jam can say that I have been quite persistent with making sure that things are being kept on top of because
He never leaves us alone.
yeah, I'm like
No,
that.
I appreciate it. I mean, because it's easy to lose track of stuff, and even those midnight home visits, I appreciate those too.
You weren't supposed to
Knocking
tell
on the
people
window.
that. Yeah. The management is a lot of just people work. It's talking to people, it's making sure that everyone's doing okay. I try and message everyone either in chat or in PMs like once a week just to see how people are going. And also just managing the content wise. It's just a matter of, sitting down at the end of a month and going, what's been added? Does anything need to be fixed? Does anything need to be worked on? And how can we improve what we have already?
Thomas has been doing an excellent job, I must say, at doing that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
He's
Oh,
doing what's
he paid
necessary,
me.
and
He
it's
paid me.
paying off.
Yeah, I paid Jam to say that.
No, that's awesome though. That's awesome that you check in with everyone because it like you said, it's a community project, so you're all just chatting about it, and that's fantastic.
It's as much anyone else's project as it is, ours. It's a collective. It's like a hive mind, which is actually what we name our little core team server. We name it the Hive Mind because we're all sort of working on this together, and it's fun.
The hive mind.
Hives are always fun.
Can you give me I guess, an estimation of how many possible quests there are?
I'm going to be honest, I don't know how many there are because we just have so many, but let me go have a look in our quest documentation folder and see how many we have.
Ballpark figure.
Ballpark figure, I would say maybe 50 to 60.
Wow.
There is a lot. Some are very short. A lot of them are sort of stuck together in the NCR main quest or in other main quests, but there is a huge amount of side quests. I like to give a shout out to Nazo the Dark because he's single-handedly added more quests to this mod than I think anyone except Devils. But yeah, there is about 50 to 60, I would say, is a good rough estimate.
And then there's all the ones that Odin's done as well.
Oh yeah, Odin's done a lot of quests. Everyone's done a lot of quests. I've done quests. Jam did quests at one point.
I did a couple.
Yeah.
Jack, you haven't done any. You haven't done any quests, Jack.
Not yet.
Oh god.
Are you gonna sneak in a small quest right before it goes out?
He will, and I'll have to fix it.
The silence from Jack just
I
maybe.
have shifty eyes right now.
No, don't tempt him.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Nazo the Dark. I do believe I played all his
They're
quest
good fun.
mods.
They're good fun.
Yeah, definitely. So would has the main story evolved? I don't know if you how far you want to go into that, but has that changed, or have you, I guess, kept it maybe from what it was
I think
before?
since the last time you played it, I don't know how much you sort of played through the main quest, because if it was 2016, I would think that only maybe one chapter of the NCR main quest was done at that point. Which was there was a lot of content in that one chapter. That's sort of the first main chapter of the NCR main quest. It's very long, it's fun, it's action packed. But since then, I'll sort of speak a little bit for Devil in this point in saying that we've moved on to more less open world stuff, for the NCR main quest at least. Um, More linear quests. That being said, still plenty of choice in there and such.
Yeah, there's a lot of branches. Things
Yeah,
really
there's a
branch
lot of
out.
branches. I guess the NCR main quest will always be our action quest. It's the one that has all the amazing scripting, the cool scripting, all the awesome explosions and everything. It's a huge amount of fun. I think over time, Devil's gotten really, really, really good at doing that sort of incredible scripted content. I mean, even if you played the first chapter, Al, you know that it was already pretty jam action packed.
Yeah, I mean, I remember you had tanks last time, and then you after we had spoken last time, maybe in 2016, you showed off the vertibird fighting, which looks amazing. It's probably come further since the last, preview we all saw.
Yeah, it has, yeah. Pretty much all of the vehicles have come a lot further. We'll talk about the vehicle stuff a little later.
I'm
Yeah.
still thinking about those 40 creatures too.
There
Oh
is
no,
a
that was 40 creatures added on top to what we already had.
That is ridiculous.
I can do a quick estimation of how many there are currently.
Oh, yeah, that would be good.
There is around 70.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you have it.
There's a huge amount.
70 new nice, some probably horrifying, some cute. Are there some cute animals or no?
Yes, yes, we have cute.
Okay.
Yes, we have cute animals. We have chickens. Are those cute? I think
Ooh.
we have chickens.
Yeah.
And cute little bunny rabbits.
Yeah. Oh, the bunny rabbits are adorable. We have, I think foxes. Lots of cute creatures and plenty that will rip your eyes out. Just for fun.
Many on the other end of the spectrum.
We wanted to make
The world space is alive.
Yeah, we wanted to make it so that when you're in combat with these creatures, that it was different. It was a new experience for you, so you just couldn't approach any old enemy the same way.
Right, and some only show up at night. There's like ones that are specific to weather, like our blizzards and stuff, and then there's ones that you can really only find and encounter them at nighttime. It's diverse. It's really diverse and a lot different from just knowing what to expect at all times. That's not different.
Right. Instead of just going like you always know there's Death Claws at Quarry Junction. Now it'll change depending on,
Combat will be different when you tackle them. Like you'll hate them each for a different reason.
Yeah, there's always a good reason to hate them. Speaking of the live world space, though, that's another thing. You mentioned there will always be death claws at Quarry Junction. We've set up our world space in such a way with unique creature spawns that you could go into an area one day and there would be a horde of creatures. The next day there will be maybe a vertibird patrolling the skies. There's variety. Nothing is completely static. So things are always changing. Things are dynamic, which makes re-exploring parts of the world space a lot more fun and also a lot
And
more
terrifying.
challenging at times. Yeah, and terrifying. There are some creatures that you just don't want to run into.
Especially at night in a blizzard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the blizzards are quite horrifying, especially now that Jack's massively redone the blizzards.
That sounds super exciting, and I'm looking forward to getting mauled during a blizzard.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah,
Oh, and is so I guess that's scripts are in charge of that, maybe?
yeah,
I guess
it's
they
very
just
basic scripts, not complicated because it doesn't need to be.
right.
The less complicated you can make your scripts, the better. And in the event of these, dynamic creature spawns, they're very very simple scripts.
That's kind of the thing about modding, taking what you have and then using it in a clever way.
Yeah, exactly.
So when the Frontier comes out, do you think other modders will be using it as a basis when they make Fallout New Vegas mods? And do you guys encourage this or?
Jack is definitely on that board. Like he definitely wants people to use the Frontier as a basis for other mods.
Yeah, it would be neat. I mean, we have plenty of derelict buildings that people could integrate their quests in. And I think with all the gameplay features, not to mention, the enemies, the weapons, and the weather and everything, it adds a lot more possibility. I'm not saying everything that could be done has been done in the Mojave, but it's the Mojave. And in here, we have a lot more going on. There's a lot more for you to use. So you get people that could use our assets in our scripts in ways even we didn't think of. And I just feel it opens up a lot more doors to modding. It gives you a lot more potential if a person was to use Frontier as the basis for whatever they want to do. And I, for one, personally encourage this greatly.
Yeah, I'm the same as Jack on that. I'd like to see people use the content. There's so much of it.
Yeah,
Weapons, arms, creatures. There's assets galore.
there's on assets galore. There's even some assets that we've never implemented because the reality is with the amount of assets that we have, the amount of assets that we implement, there's not always stuff that's going to get used. We might not find a place for it, or we simply forget about it. There are a lot of assets that have sort of been forgotten that we're slowly trying to implement back in, but I think there's a lot of stuff in there that modders could just simply take it and run with it, essentially.
They could discover it. To all any of you modders or would be modders out there, check our test cells and just poke around, look at what we have. You'll probably end up finding some neat stuff that maybe wasn't even used or anything in any of our quests. It's happened before.
Yeah.
My first mod I ever made on Nexus, it was not so long ago. A modder found my hidden stuff in there, and he pulled it out. Yeah, he made a whole new mod out of it. I had 4 or 5 weapons in the original Eve I never used, and someone found them all these years later and made a mod out of them. And people could be finding stuff here in Frontier and doing the same. They could make their own mod, preferably not 5 years later.
Hey, if New Vegas is still going
Oh,
strong in
God,
5
It
yeah.
is.
years. Just chugging along, New Vegas it is.
Limping.
Hey, it's a healthy limp.
Is there such thing as a healthy limp? It's like my leg's only kind of broken. It's fine.
You'll get there eventually.
Modders can patch it.
That's what I say. Yeah, we'll create a new mesh for your legs. You'll have spider legs. It'll be great.
You accidentally use like a tree, like a carrot or something. This never works.
Well, I guess speaking of limping along, the Frontier looks pretty fancy and thus demanding. Are people going to be having problems? I guess what kind of things can we expect, or what can we do to squeeze better performance out of the Frontier?
This has long been probably one of the issues that I've been trying to tackle the most because the performance in the Frontier, in all honesty, is not as good as it could be. There's a lot of areas that are quite laggy. There's a lot of areas that are quite intensive, even for good PCs. I'm running a sort of mid-end PC, so I'm not a great benchmark for good PCs, but a lot of the problems stem from just how this engine handles, projects like this. The Mojave is empty. DC in Fallout 3 is optimized to the point that it's not even funny because they knew what engine they were working in. Over the past 3 years, I'd say I've been doing everything I can to, fix all of those performance problems and to a lot of success, actually. A lot of areas have gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Some areas have had minor performance increases, but overall, there's been a
We've
good
doubled
performance
FPS
increase.
in a lot of areas.
Yes, we have. If you're using the right mods, if you're not going too insane with mods, you shouldn't have too much of a problem. Just recently, I've been downscaling all of our textures, so making them smaller. This will massively help reduce out of memory errors that people get when they're using, too many texture mods, fixing crashes here and there. It's a long, winding process that takes weeks to figure out why things are breaking.
We've all contributed a
Yeah,
lot to this. Thomas is, that downscaling thing. I don't think he'll reveal it, but it's been taking him hours because it's literally, I don't know, thousands of textures that he's downscaling, and not in a batch way or a sloppy way. But
nah.
even on my own part, I know, nervous laughter. I've been doing what I can, for my stuff, since I'm handling VFX that worries a lot of people. um but actually I found so many methods. I've discovered new ways, new workarounds to get it to look great, but at the same time function great. Just like Thomas mentioned a moment ago, I very recently remade all the weathers, all the snow, all the blizzards. I remade them, and they look even better, but the performance is considerably better. And that's the kind of thing we're all doing. We're all constantly reevaluating what we have and trying, our best to optimize it and get it to a point where we can, like you said, squeeze the most performance out of there and reduce the odds of people running into these problems.
Yeah, that being said, it sounds like we're saying a lot of doom and gloom, but the reality is, even with a mid-tier PC or even a sort of low-end PC, you can squeeze a good FPS out of it. Like in the more intensive areas, you're not going to run 60 FPS. You're not going to get 55 FPS. You'll get, maybe mid 40s, mid 30s, high 30s.
It's
Um,
respectable for a heavily
it's
modded
for
ancient
a
game.
heavily modded, yeah. For
Yeah.
this engine, that's as good as we're going to get. We've been doing everything we can to sort of fix things up. As Jack said, the downscaling, there was no batch processing for that. I had to take every single individual texture into Photoshop and run 3 different actions to, remove alpha channels, downscale, then save it as the right format.
What a guy.
I spent
Wow.
8.5 hours in one sitting downscaling these textures. Yeah,
Jeez.
I think we saved about 2 and a bit gigabytes worth of memory, um, especially in the.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that definitely worth it. Holy
yeah.
crap. Well, hats off to you, TG.
It
My
also
God.
like massively reduces our file size because the Frontier is very
Dude
big.
is committed.
Yeah, I do all the grunt work that people don't necessarily want to do, but that needs to be done.
Yeah, but the cool part is you know how to do it too.
Yes, I know how to do it properly. I've been taught by a lot of good people. Jam has taught me a lot about fixing NIFs. Roy Batarian has helped a huge amount in helping fix NIFs. He's fixed a few NIFs of ours, and he's just taught me
The famous
everything.
TTW guy that everyone
Yeah,
should be aware
yeah,
of.
yeah. If you don't know who Roy is, you're doing yourself a misdeed. Go find out who he is and find his mods. The Frontier will be, at the very least, runnable at
Playable.
decent, yeah, playable at good FPS. Not perfect, but good FPS. Uh, Minimal crashes, and it'll just be an enjoyable time,
It is
essentially.
different for everyone. I run a mod-free game, and I built a gaming rig. I get decent FPS, so I think it's possible. Yeah, nobody's, unless you're on a potato. I mean, no one's gonna get wrecked by this.
Yeah, look, if you're on a potato, look, it's going to be a bit of a starchy playthrough.
Your life is gonna be that way in general on a potato.
Yeah.
Yeah, lucky the bird there just contributed.
Yep, yeah.
Well, it sounds like a lot of optimization has been going on, even as you mentioned before about those, I guess, spawning scripts. Like, make it simple, optimize it, and just keep working at that. And that's, probably what will keep it running smooth. Because, I mean, I would take 40 frames per second.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds fine to me. And yeah, because you also have their, combat and battle, I guess, pieces, as you were mentioning. Death's Wish had programmed a
Devil's
few,
Wish,
and
yeah.
I'm sure Devil's Wish. Yeah,
I like
sorry.
Death Wish.
Death Wish.
It stars The Rock and Kevin Hart.
Last time I played, I had control of a tank, and I actually was driving it around in the Mojave because you had just spawned it. It was spawned in the in the airport actually, and I drove it around. But what I want to ask is, and I'm sure you get this a bunch, are those vehicles, they going to be able to be taken back to the Mojave, or they're only going to be in the frontier? That's where they belong. That's where they were born.
Yes,
That's where
they're
they'll
only
die.
going to be in the Mojave. Our world space is designed for the vehicles. The Mojave isn't. So, yeah, there's a possibility of a vehicle that you could be maybe travel to and from the Mojave with, but we haven't finalised that yet.
Secret project.
But in terms of driving a vehicle around, no, you won't be driving them around in the Mojave unless somebody mods that in.
Yeah, look, if you want to try and get vehicles in, we're not going to stop you. Maybe I should, but we'll keep it. If you really want to get them in there, you can. Just like anything, you can get around it. It's just
Just
it's
not our
not our
priority
priority.
right
It's
now.
not something we're going to do. You can do it if you want to. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but it's simple enough.
Yeah, we're going to focus on it in our world
Yeah.
space.
Right. Make sure it works where it's intended to work instead
Exactly.
of someone breaking the game by spawning 18 vehicles.
I'm sure that will happen as soon as the Frontier is released.
Oh yeah, pretty
Right.
quickly.
I guess if you could, Jam, how exactly do the vehicles work? I don't know if that's going to be complicated for you to explain, or
No, it's fairly well. It's easy for me. The vehicles are actually new creatures.
They're not armors like the Metro armor from that DLC.
Yeah, they're actual creatures. They're rigged to their own skeleton. They're fully animated. They're
alive.
They're alive. Yes, they're alive. They have their own weapons with them, machine guns, the cannons, and so we have them as the creature side, and then Devil's Wish has cleverly scripted them so that you basically drive the creature.
They got sounds and everything, even like ignition sounds and reversing, and you can honk the horn, and when you get out, there's like the door sounds. Everything so cool.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited about the honk and the horn.
There's plenty more with that. With the other
Yeah.
vehicles, you can do a lot more fun stuff with them.
Yeah.
Each one's got their own horn.
I don't know if that's
headlights.
actually true. And headlights, yes, it does have headlights.
Yeah, you can aim the weapons. There's custom weapons on some of the other vehicles, so you can use the weapons to attack and do some pretty horrible things to creatures that aren't in vehicles.
Like rabbits.
Yeah.
Wait, so you can can you say that again?
Well, you can drive the
You can
vehicles.
run over anything.
They have weapons. You can run over.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you can drive over things. It's quite fun and very, very gory.
It's like Armageddon.
It is. On the sort of how does it work side, especially for the tanks, I think when you played it, we used a very weird sort of system
Hackish, campy.
no, it worked, but it wasn't fantastic. The way the old tanks used to work
Wasn't ideal.
was that the tank part that you would drive was essentially the tank without the turret. And the turret was a separate object that was moved to the tank alongside you. And so that would cause its own problems. You would see the head
Clipping.
bobbing up and down. Yeah, it was really weird.
A bit of stuttering.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. And just recently,
Semi-functional.
it was
and
functional.
somewhat clever.
Yeah, it was very clever, but it was just it was glitchy at times. Just recently, thanks to the power of the GPLM plugin and the god of New Vegas modding, Jazz's Paris, all hail to him.
Yeah, big shout out there.
Yeah, we got functions that the script functions that allow us to basically interact with the models themselves, and so the tank was replaced by a full model that you drive, and the turret is actually moved via scripting, a very complicated mathematical sequence of, angles and sin, cosine, sine function, whatever.
Trigonometry.
Yeah, do you remember your high school trig? There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Really advanced stuff.
It's a lot of scripting to essentially have this turret move incredibly smoothly. No jitter, no bugs. It's phenomenal.
It's even got its own sound effects for when you swing it around. So cool.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And that's a huge improvement that Devil's Wish did. It massively improved the usability of the
The
tank.
tank driving experience as a whole.
Yeah, it's fantastically fun now, and we have.
Don't forget, Mac added a UI. We got a tank UI for when
Yes,
you're in there.
I
really?
scripted a tank HUD that allows you to, alongside other things, see the vehicle's health. There's a little overlay that is shown when you're in first person with the tanks and a couple of other vehicles. Just sort of
ammo dealio.
Yes, just recently in the last month, I added a way you can see how many rounds you have left for your current weapon, which is very handy. And the vehicle health bar is really fun. I'll give you an image of that because it is quite fun to see, and you can show it. And yeah, that was probably one of the biggest improvements that we did in the last couple of years, is adding that tank HUD and improving the tank itself.
Yeah, the whole tank driving thing, you wouldn't even recognize it. I mean, last time you did it, it's mostly for the lulls and hey, look, we got it working. But now it's actually impressive stuff. You'd be blown away.
And so there's the tank, and then are there different versions of the tank, or?
Oh well, we've got a few versions of the tank, but then again, we've got a selection of vehicles as well with weapons. So
yes,
yeah, we branched out. There's a whole lot of different vehicles you can drive around.
A lot of very Mad Max style sort of vehicles. You can modify and add your own weapons and armors.
You can mod them.
Yes, yeah.
There's a whole range of customized post-apocalyptic vehicles at your disposal.
Yeah.
Is there a dealership, or will we find them throughout the wasteland?
There is both.
Yep.
There is a dealership.
Hey, stranger, want to buy a vehicle?
Yeah, pretty much. There's a dealership that sounds like Scooter from the Borderlands sequels.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I requested that. And he will sell vehicles to you at a high price, mind you, because it's the whole convenience of being able to buy the vehicles that are there. You can also buy the weapon mods and the armor mods for it, but you can also find all of the vehicles, I think save one or two, throughout the world space, and there's a few of them hidden in secluded spots.
Yeah, look around, check all those nooks and crannies, especially the crannies.
You have to explore. There's a lot of areas that are filled with that sort of little Easter egg.
They're in pretty logical locations, So if you hunt around and you suspect, oh, hey, look at that suspicious garage.
With all that equipment near it.
But you do got to keep them in tip-top shape. I mean, like we mentioned, the whole health bar thing. You got to repair them, got to fuel them up, all that jazz.
Yeah,
I really like
the
that.
fuel thing is a one-time thing currently. It's just to get it started. We've sort of been going back and forth on whether we want to have the vehicles essentially run out of fuel over time, but we're still sort of on the edge of whether we want to do that or not.
Jury's still out on that one.
But health you do need to keep an eye on, because your tanks can die your vehicles can die pretty quickly, and they do not respawn. So if you
go boom and it's glorious.
Yeah, the vehicle explosions are incredible.
They're powerful, but you can lose them.
Yes. It's a good send-off for them, though, at least.
Yeah.
As you're running for your life, I guess.
Massive explosion in the background.
Yes, Jack makes some beautiful effects for them.
Yes, they're fully destructible. Pieces can even dynamically get blown off of them as they're losing health and stuff.
And then can you repair them in the field, or you'll have to go back to...
You can repair them in the field. There's tools to do that, and you can repair them with a bit of scrap and the tools. So, you can repair them in the field.
Yeah, you don't have to tow it back to your garage or anything.
That would be an interesting quest. Tow your broken down tank back to the
now that it's been said, someone's going to do it. And again, I highly encourage it.
Since we talked about vehicles, and that itself is a huge gameplay element. Are you willing to reveal any new gameplay elements or any new projectile types or items that
Oh,
change
there's
tactics, I
definitely
guess?
new projectile types. There's a couple of those. There's a lot of new things that can affect gameplay. There's different aid items that do different things. There's lots of ingestibles, which are like fruit and veg and all that smooth jazz. But in terms of full gameplay features, I would say the only one that's of massive note is the chill factor, which we sort of said would be a thing many years ago, and that is being worked on. It's going to be really really awesome, and also make you can no longer just walk into a blizzard and expect to survive if you're buck naked, which is how it should be. Um,
Yeah, don't try it
um, uh,
in real life or in game. Don't try it.
yeah. Don't do that, guys. Don't do it.
There's one thing I want to mention that's it's related to the chill factor thing in a way. It's not necessarily for gameplay, but I think a lot of people don't know it. This game was actually set up to allow wind to affect more than just grass and clouds. Even the wind can affect particles and visuals, and we've actually set that up so that let's say you're holding a torch or even a vehicle is on fire. The fire and smoke will be blowing in the direction of the wind and match the severity of the wind. And the same goes for snow
Really?
and blizzards.
Yeah.
Yes, if the wind is going east, guess what? The snow is heading east.
Yeah, that's quite a fun thing to see. That's a very new thing. We didn't have that before on the old
Very.
snow. It's
It's
phenomenal.
about a week old.
Yeah, it's phenomenal to see this snow going essentially horizontal to you, and this blistering wind is just coming at you.
And it can change. If the wind, dies down, you're going to see the visual match that. It's really neat.
Wow, so the chill factor, and so that'll depend on which armor you're wearing.
There's a number of different elements that come into play when you're in chill factor. We're all sort of figuring out what parts we want to have affect, your overall chill ability.
Some of it you might be familiar with. People who played what's the Terraria one? Kind of, I don't know. But when there's a campfire, you can be by the campfire and it'll warm them up.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Stuff like that. You've seen it in other games.
Yeah, if you stand near fire barrels with chill factor, you will heat up, which is actually a very cool feature and a very, very, very complicated feature to script. But we have a guy working on it. He's cool. We won't say who it is, just to not give him too much pressure. But it'll be amazing when it's done, and it will affect the player in ways that go beyond simple debuffs, simple damage. It'll be unique, essentially.
It's not just a rudimentary, oh, you're cold, you lose health. It's pretty dynamic and fleshed out.
Yeah.
Any frostbite, possibly?
That is probably going to
Losing
be a
toes?
thing. Yeah, it would be cool if you could lose a toe. Yeah, a random toe gets added to your inventory every few hours.
Watch, another Frontier mod soon to come out is recipes for toe.
Ooh, toe soup. Ugh.
Tofu.
I'm thinking, oh snap, you went there. You just had to go there.
So new projectiles. Could I get one of them?
Yeah.
I got one I want to share.
Yeah, go on, Jack.
you don't
Go on,
mind.
Jack.
Okay.
I know which ones you're going
All
to share.
right,
Go on, share 'em.
we have the cherry bomb ammo. I love this one. We actually have a weapon. You can load in cherry bomb ammo, and it will fire this volley, this spread of cherry bombs. And they actually bounce, and then they go boom, and it even creates flashes of light. And of course, as you can imagine, point blank or in a hallway or you surprise someone with that, and they're in for it. It's good fun. It's good fun. I don't know exactly how effective it is, especially against an armored foe or say a vehicle, but you get a little mole rat in the corner.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's quite fun.
Yeah,
Um,
love that one.
Diabolical laugh.
Another little thing about that, though, something I recently added, something that just popped into my mind when I was looking at rad roaches. We have, either by accident or intentionally, we have our own rad roaches, which we call radcafords. I think it's a French thing. I'm pretty sure our world space designer Mac Control added those, but they're essentially really
Fairly
small.
certain.
Yeah, they're just small rad roaches essentially, and I thought it would be a really cool idea. If you could step on them and squish them.
Oh yes.
And so, in an afternoon, with some help from Jam, I made that a thing. So now when you step on these little rad roaches, they're just friendly. They won't attack you. But if you step on them, you kill them, and it's a little squish sound.
Oh, that's amazing. That reminds me of like they had that in Half-Life. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it's adorably fun. Just squishing all of these little
But no, in case you're wondering, those little guys are not a projectile or ammo type.
no, it's
Okay,
gameplay feature.
gotcha. Oh man, that would be horrifying. Have you tried to run over the tiny rad roaches with vehicles?
I have not yet, but I imagine it would be quite squishy, quite a bloodbath.
One more thing to add about that, since you were talking about these projectile types, and Jam can even shed a little light on this. She set up a method where she's got this like missile launcher thing, and it can like fire from all these like in sequence. It just fires this whole volley of these shots at you. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, it is cool. And I'll add on to that just another thing. There is new projectile types. We won't say what it is, but it's essentially a new. You have your plasma, your laser, your bullets, and your flames, all that. There is a new projectile type essentially that we won't go into too much detail because it has a huge amount of lore behind it. But a few weapons will be using that. They're all sort of made by the same company, and it adds a new way to essentially damage people. It's like plasma and laser had a lovely baby, with a few downsides of bullets. It's a very interesting projectile type, and it makes for a lot of fun, different things. And there's also a lot of varieties to it, so it's not just a single plasma ball. There's like a beam version. There's a bullet style projection. There's a little ball projectile. There's lots of different variations of this projectile type.
Wow, I am very excited for these new projectiles.
We found a lot of new ways to implement some fun new ones. We even have like nail shot, and it shoots out nails, and the nails stick in whatever. You can't retrieve them, of course; they're wrecked, but it's really neat.
Right. Have there been any struggles that you've encountered? I'm sure there's, bugs and stuff pop up and random things like that, but if you, I guess, go into more detail?
Um, for me at least, a lot of the struggle is balancing performance with how good things look. As I sort of explained with the optimization before, a lot of these, downgrades come with things looking a little worse. And unfortunately, some people don't like that. Some people like things to look really good. But there's sort of that balancing act that is it. I struggle with it a lot. Sort of just that whole optimization is something I really struggle with.
Mm-hmm.
I think, as you may expect, everyone who has contributed, which is a lot of people, to some degree, we all expect, or we all experience some form of like failure in maybe what we want to do. A lot of times, we're trying to do something new, or maybe we're just trying to do something we haven't done before, and then it just falls flat. It just so naturally there are struggles in development, but a lot of them are to be expected. I, for one, I recently tried to make this what do you call it, orbital laser type thing, and I was really excited about it. And maybe I bit off more than I could chew or something, but it epically failed. I was shattered. But I'll pick it up and try again, have another go at it. That's part of it. It doesn't matter if I'm working on Frontier or not. That's kind of how the game goes. You're not always gonna be successful.
I think my one would have been trying to get wall turrets to work.
Mm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like actually a wall-mounted turret. How cool would
yeah,
that be? But
yes, and the engine
maybe a little
just
too cool. It
just
seems.
wouldn't let me do it.
Yeah, no fault of yours, because yeah, I actually believe you could do it, but
I thought I could too,
it's out of our control.
but
Yeah.
it wouldn't let me.
Yeah, one thing I recently struggled with in the last week or so was I decided to have a go at upgrading our Vertibird AI, and making it so that there's not as much scripting involved with getting NPCs and bad guys to shoot your Vertibird, because it was all scripted before because of some engine things that we had to do to get the Vertibirds to work properly. I spent 13 and a half hours over a 2-day period trying to get that to work. I went through 12 different prototypes of things, everything I could possibly think of. At the end, I sort of had to reach out to some of the NVSE plugin guys that I know and love and say, hey, I need help. And they gave me an engine fix essentially that cut my code down from like 500 lines down to 2. And so it now works obscenely well, but there was a lot of work that went into getting that over, that 13 hours. I was up very late trying to get it to work. It was very frustrating.
He was very stressed.
I was very stressed. Let's just say that. A lot of cursing, a lot of yelling, but we got it. We got it working in the end. So that's what matters.
Did you have a huge sigh of relief when it finally worked, or was it?
It was more like a cry of relief, and then I went to bed.
Finally. Struggles with the mod, obviously, are one thing, but it's been, once again, not to go back to, the time, but it's been 3 years, 4 years since we've talked. I would imagine there's been some life changes for,
Well, I could start with that
some
one.
of you.
Yeah, Jack.
Sure. In the time since we last, did this kind of call-in video, I actually got married and had a kid, and my kid is in school now. Like started, preschool or whatever. But
Wow.
big life
So
changes.
Congrats, Jack.
Thanks. Oh, I also bought a new house and moved there. Right.
Nice.
So
wow.
a lot of things take place. I wish I could say Frontier was my only life, but no.
If only you escaped from the basement.
I did finally.
Yeah, I had to let him out. He wouldn't stop banging on the walls.
He kept making things, and we couldn't stop him.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah, and how long? I guess. So TG, you've been here for how long? And then Jamila, how long have you been?
I joined. Me and Thomas joined about pretty much the same time, I think.
Yeah, I think Jam joined maybe a few months earlier than me.
Yeah. They kept me in a closet in the dark for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Is that how they start you out? They're like,
it's
all right,
training.
we'll get bigger.
That's how they used to. That's how they used to do it. Not anymore. Nowadays.
Yeah, that's how they break you in.
Yeah, there's no break-in anymore. It's like if you know how to mod, it's like boom, you're on. I'm gonna give you stuff to do. If you show me you can do it, you're in. If not, goodbye. It's there. You just essentially just jump in. Yeah, I started around the same time as Jam, around 2016. I have Skype conversations going back to around that time, so I assume that's when I started.
I guess in jumping back to the game, the Frontier, compared to the vanilla in terms of map size or file size or number of entries and so on, how does it compare, the Frontier and the vanilla? I know we've talked about enemies, we've talked about projectiles. So yeah, map size, file size. Let's jump on that train.
Well, as Jam said, we've recently started to upgrade the world space to be a bit bigger, to include the level of detail, the LOD, just sort of make things, a bit nicer around the edges of the world space, so it's not quite as scrappy, not quite as go-hung, whatever it is. In terms of size, entries, we are bigger in vanilla than in most ways. In terms of pure entries, I can actually go into Xedit and look right now. Currently, we are sitting at 646,246 entries and or records, and the vanilla New Vegas ESM has 542,016 records. So we have close to 100,000 more records. Yeah. We don't have as many dialogues, topics, not by a long shot, unfortunately, or fortunately, actually. But we have a lot of other things that we have a lot of, and the overall size of the mod, asset-wise, is a lot bigger than New Vegas because we use a lot of high-quality assets. I would say it's bigger in vanilla in some ways. It's not as big as vanilla in some other ways. I would say there's probably more content in vanilla, but that's just because there's they had more people working on it in such a compressed time.
Right.
But there is a lot to do. There's a lot of stuff in the frontier, let's just say that.
And we were talking before, you said there was, I guess, how many voice lines?
Currently, we are sitting on 13,860 voice lines of dialogue
Wow.
from hundreds of voice actors. We have a casting call on Casting Call Club. We had over 2,600 auditions. We have 100 or more characters. We've been doing it since, I think, early 2017 now, early 2018. We've got a lot of voice dialogue, and there's a lot more to go. I think we have around 23,000 dialogue topics, so to speak, that need to be voiced. About half of those are voiced, so there's a lot to go. Sometimes, to a fault, people can write a bit too much dialogue, which has been a problem in the past, which is sort of why we stopped accepting new dialogue content, because there's just too much. There's too much, man.
It's just expanding, yeah. If you have this figured out, where will the mod be released? Is it going to be Nexus and ModDB? And
Nexus will be our primary release hub. I don't know if we'll release it anywhere else. File hosting will be a bit of an issue, but we're going to try and cut the mod up into a few different pieces. So you just download a few different files, and it should work out fine in the end.
Nice. I want to ask about the new revealed Crusader quest line. What information can be given to me and the rest of the lovely people watching?
Not a whole lot, honestly. I think the problem with the Crusader questline that we had was it was sort of a very abrupt announcement that we didn't really post publicly more than just our Discord. We posted an announcements around February, but I'll just sort of give a brief overview for what the Crusader questline is. The Crusader questline is our third playable faction there, alongside the NCR and the Legion. We actually teased the Crusaders in our last trailer, our last full trailer. There was a short section there that teased them, but I don't think anyone really picked up on them. However, they are a thing. They're a full quest line. The way the whole quest line sort of works is it is a bit shorter than the NCR main quest line, simply just due to time constraints. It being started quite late in development. And it's not going to be as dialogue filled as the Legion questline. The Legion questline, I think I've said this before in questions and whatnot, it's very dialogue friendly. It's dialogue heavy. There's lots of choices. There's a lot of writing to it. The Crusader questline is a very balanced approach. There's a lot of state of the art scripting and gameplay, but also incredibly unique characters and dialogue. The man behind the magic, Odin Sword, is a novelist. I hope I'm getting that right. He's a novelist, and he's done a huge amount of work to expand upon this this faction, and it's incredibly deep. There's a lot of links to real world, crusaders and religious figures and religions and whatnot. We can't reveal too much about what's going to happen in it, but a lot of it's work in progress at the moment. So hopefully a little later on, we'll be able to tell people sort of what's the dealio with the NCR, or the Crusader questline rather. But it will be
whether it'll split off or
essentially what will happen. But
nice.
one thing I will say is for all of the major quest lines, we have a series of events that were sort of started in the NCR main quest line that we all try to call back to, sort of those events that will happen regardless of what quest line you're doing. It's just to sort of give some overall cohesiveness to the mod as a whole and the story, just so everything's not, cordoned off into their sort of respective areas. Everything sort of links back to this main story of the courier and his travels through the frontier. And that's pretty much all I could say about the Crusaders, aside from they're going to have some awesome new weapons provided by Jack. That's all a work in progress at the moment. We've got some fantastic...
Nudge, Jack.
Yeah, Jack, hurry up.
Oh, sorry, I get distracted.
I was just bugging you to finish the Crusader weapons.
Yep, I'm on it.
Thank you.
Right now.
Right now. Nah.
As we speak.
As we speak, yeah. There's a lot of great work going on behind the scenes to make the Crusaders a fully fleshed out, fantastic faction to play along. Odin Sword has done a phenomenal job at making this questline feel, to me, one of the most lore-filled quest lines that I've played in a lot of recent games. There's so many nuances, there's so many different sort of elements to it that it's phenomenal. But that's about all I can say for it for the meantime.
Nice. No, I am excited. So we have three choices, or at least three, I guess, factions: the NCR, the Crusader, and then the Legion. So, what's the status of the NCR main quest?
The NCR main quest is coming along very nicely. Devil's Wish is working on it, I believe, as we speak. Slowly, month by month, he's been adding new sections, as he's been doing for the last 5 years or something. It's slow work. There's a lot of scripting involved, a huge amount of scripting. Some of these scripts can end up being 1,000 lines long. Because, as I said, the NCR main quest is a little more linear, so there's a lot more scripting to it. But it's coming along very nicely. We've done a lot of tweaks to it over time to add new features, new items, new weapons, new assets, replacing old ones, creating new ones.
And that's so NCR is mainly, I guess, finished. Would you say?
It's not finished in the sense that there are still a few quests left to be done, but Devils has done a fantastic job at when he hasn't been directly working on new quests to go back and do fixes and touch ups to his older quests, making them all sort of up to the same level that they should be. So, yeah, there's still some work to be done, but it's very close.
Awesome. And what's involved with the Legion quest?
The Legion quest is actually done at the moment, in a sense. We're sort of waiting on some interior work to be done to rescript one certain section, but it's been done now for quite a few months. Nazo the Dark finished it. Sort of go into a little bit how the Legion main quest starts is that you start the NCR main quest. That's sort of where you branch out to the other quest lines. There's a certain part in the NCR main quest line where you will be given the option to join the Legion. I won't say when, but from context and from what we've shown, it might be possible to sort of figure it out. But you get the option to join the Legion, then sort of progress through the quest of the Legion quest line, and eventually come to the same sort of conclusion as what the NCR and the Crusader quest line would have. One or more factions, destroyed. Stuff happens. Things are done and people are killed. You get the drift.
Yeah. There are, I guess, new weapons as well for the Legion.
Yes, there is. That's a lot of the weapons for the Legion quest line are sort of taken from the NCR main quest line's implementation of the Legion. All the generic Legion soldiers will have new weapons, spears, whatnot. And there's some unique weapons for the Legion main quest as well, though I would say not as many.
I could jump in and just say there's also the other main group in the frontier, which is the Scavs, and they have a lot of their own unique weapons as
Yes,
well.
they have a huge amount of weapons and variety. I think upwards of
Some very
15 to 20
interesting,
different. Yes.
junk type weapons that are
Yeah. Think Fallout 4 is like pipe pistols, but not pipe pistols, and they don't suck.
Like homemade weapons and stuff.
Homemade weapons, essentially, yeah, that give the scavs a little bit more, a little bit more feel.
Would the Scavers, would they be considered maybe like the Raiders or the Fiends of the Frontier?
No, I would consider them more the everyone. They're basically a collective term for everyone that isn't
Survivors.
Crusader, NCR, or Legion.
everybody else.
Okay.
They're like the locals, really.
They're essentially,
and they don't have a predispositioned, hatred for you.
yeah, there are definitely
so-
hostile scavs, and there's friendly scavs, there's neutral scavs, there's all sorts. There's ones that'll be allies, whatever. It just depends on who
Just
you
like in
talk
real
to.
life.
Yeah, just like in real life. It's like, except in real life, I don't think you get shot with a tank by unfriendly people walking down the street.
I hope not. Will there be any returning characters?
There will be a few. I won't say who, but there will be a few characters slotted in here and there from drawing from the vanilla game.
A number of mentions too, maybe not like physically there, but they might be mentioned in passing or talked about in dialogue.
Yeah, exactly.
Will there be a mech-powered Doc Mitchell?
Yes. In fact, that will be an
Oh, wow.
where you replace all creatures and all NPCs with Doc Mitchell. I'm kidding, obviously, or am I? You'll never know.
There's a secret activation switch somewhere.
Major spoiler.
Yeah, major spoiler. You just spoiled everything. We're doomed. Speaking of MCM, though, we'll get onto that a little later. But yeah, we do have an MCM. It's cool.
Yeah, let's talk about Easter eggs. What kinds, or will there be Easter eggs, I guess?
There will be. That's about all we could say because we don't want to spoil them.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Expect them.
them.
They will be there.
There are a couple that they're sort of our personal Easter eggs. There'll be a couple references to us. The developers, there's a couple of developer names thrown in Wild Wastelands. That's one thing.
They're all tasteful and appropriate, I'd say.
They're all tasteful. Some of them are, you might go, oh, this doesn't really fit in Fallout. But at the end of the day, they are Easter eggs. They're not canon. They're not part of the lore. They're just sort of there because, we want to have fun.
Kind of akin to the Fallout days of past, where sometimes if you looked hard enough, you'd stumble upon one in Fallout 1 or 2.
Yeah, it's just it's having fun. There's the Frontier isn't just all dark and gloom. There's fun. There's fun to it. There's a lot of funny characters as well.
Now, do you need Wild Wasteland on for certain ones, or?
Yeah, some encounters will need Wild Wasteland. Some won't. Typically, we just put stuff in Wild Wasteland that is a little too on the nose, a little too
right,
a little too pop cultural, just so we can sort of give I'm a tough player. I don't know who that's supposed to be.
No, that's how they all talk.
Exactly. Just sort of giving them some freedom from those silly bits. But there are still silly bits regardless, because it is a fun mod. We try not to take ourselves too seriously.
No, definitely. That's awesome. So what are, Jack, I know you said before you play with a vanilla game with the Frontier?
I do.
What are the plugin requirements? Is it you can play with vanilla, or do we need some stuff?
As you can probably guess, I'll let Thomas handle most of this, but you should be aware, all these clever things that we've been talking about do require those script extenders. That first and foremost would be those.
Yeah, we require basically all of the big script extender plugins. We need NVSE, we need the GPLN plugin, which is like how most of our magic works. It's phenomenal. We need the user interface organizer as well, because that's how our custom HUDs work. We also recommend, but it's not required, to have MCM, the mod configuration menu. There's a few options
for people who want their options.
Yeah, the people who want options. There's a few in there that could be useful for players. There's some debug options. There's one where you can turn off all motion blur effects.
Nice.
After some conversations with people that I had, for example, in Honest Hearts, there's that really trippy section where you get the effects added to you, and it's really disorientating. It's got lots of motion blur. And people complained about that kind of stuff, so we thought, let's add an option to disable that stuff, so you can disable it frontier-wide with one button, which is very, very handy. Other sort of options we've considered is an arachnophobia mode, where it replaces all spiders, of which we have lots.
Lovely spiders.
They're pretty generous with their spiders.
Terrifying.
Are they, you have big and little spiders, or?
Yep.
We have big, little, chicken little.
Oversimplification there.
Yeah. Really terrifying.
I'll give you a little spoiler. Watch your head.
Oh no.
You'll get it when you
Oh,
see it.
Yeah, we
Oh
have some
no.
fantastic little gameplay elements regarding that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
I don't like the
basically, yeah,
sound of that.
don't look up or do. Yeah, whatever.
Oh no.
Yeah. We'll hopefully add an option in the future to disable those spiders because, we respect the fact that people sometimes can be arachnophobic.
Right,
And we'll
yeah.
try and replace them with bunnies or something. Killer rabbits. Yeah, there we go. There we go. It's done. All right, that'll work.
True. But back to the question that you just asked there about those requirements, all in all, there's really not a whole lot of dependency on other stuff. People are free to use some things if they prefer, but bear in mind, this is mostly custom content. So even things like the NCM or whatever it's called, that texture mod, and even body mods, you may not even see any hint of it in here just because that affects vanilla and we are mostly non-vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is true. The one thing we do recommend is not using a sky mod, because they can conflict with our sky. We have a very fragile sky system using a custom mesh, custom functions, custom textures. It looks gorgeous, but it can be a bit finicky with weather mods. So if you're going to play the Frontier, I'd recommend turning off your weather mods. That's pretty much the only sort of no.
True. I mean, around release time, we'll have a better idea of exactly what's incompatible. But right now, there's really not a whole lot of things out there that are going to straight up be incompatible or blacklisted against Frontier.
Yeah, we have considered blacklisting some mods that are known to be incredibly broken.
Because they're broken.
Because they're broken, we've considered not allowing NVEC, the New Vegas Enhanced Content mod, to be used because it is just so broken and it's so old and it's not been updated. We just don't think it's appropriate to use with this kind of mod because it could break things, but we'll see down the line. We already have a compatibility list that is maintained by our resident meme lord Voidwalker. He sort of lists any mods that are compatible or incompatible with the Frontier, and there's
Right,
a
right.
lot of compatibility. Some things we wouldn't recommend.
Expect that list to grow a little bit.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we don't recommend just due to balance. Project Nevada, for example, we tend to say stick to just the core sections, the ones that add the new features, avoid rebalance, just so it doesn't mess with our balance.
Right, yeah. I usually use a damage modifier, but I would assume I should probably turn that off.
Yeah, I would personally recommend using Bleed, the mod by Roy Batty, because that's properly scripted mods that that just works. It just works essentially.
And it's not going to imbalance things.
Todd.
It's not going to make
it
you
won't imbalance things,
overpowered,
yeah.
or it's not going to remove any challenge from the Frontier.
Yeah, well, it makes at certain settings it can make you a glass cannon. You can die quickly, but also the enemies can die quickly. It's sort of that balance, that
Right.
trade-off. Just depends on what you use.
That's a very reasonable, sensible trade-off there. So we will, in summary, we will have a list of recommended mods, and then we'll have a blacklist as well as ones you probably shouldn't use if you want a decent experience.
Right,
Yeah.
no, definitely. That's
We
fantastic.
do recommend using TTW just because of the number of fixes it does to the game. That still works. That still works. I have played Frontier plus TTW with no problems. It's fantastic. It really is.
I'll have to jump on the Tale 2 Wastelands
Yeah, you should. It's fun.
train. I guess the only way to look is forward. So, what's next for the team? What will you do collectively or individually, even after release?
We don't. I
You want to
personally
start that,
don't know.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Look, hey, if you don't want to, I'm glad to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, got a lot of stuff going here. Well, I'll just input what I gotta say then for that. Forward thinking is key and everything, and we know where we're at development wise, and we know how things are coming down to the wire here. And looking forward, yes, you mentioned collaboratively, collectively as a team or even individually. My answer is kind of a little bit of both, to be honest, because I've started putting the wheels in motion of getting my own game in development, and I've even got my own studio registered and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and if a lot of the talent we got here on the team, I personally want to like carry on, and I'm hoping they could contribute to the game slash games I want to develop here. But it's up to them. I'm really cool with any one of these talented, fine individuals joining me in my ventures. So as for me personally, I've worked in the industry before. I've worked on a couple titles that are up on Steam, and that's cool and all. And now I'm branching out, want to do my own title and get my own studio rolling and stuff. And that is not only just an individual thing, because like I mentioned, I would be cool with having Frontier talent on board in that as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I don't have as much of an idea as what I want to do as Jack does. After the Frontier's finished, I definitely want to support the Frontier for, as long as I can, providing bug fixes and patches. And I assume a few other members of the team will most likely be doing that as well. I know
Definitely.
a lot of the team will probably move on, though, move on to other mods or move on from Fallout New Vegas entirely. Just because of, they've been working in a long time. They don't necessarily want to work in it anymore. I'm not sure what I want to do in regards to that yet. I have a couple of projects and stuff that are still on the line, still I'm working on, that I am involved in, that I sort of just want to see how they go. That's
right.
sort of all
You've got Fallout 1 to make, Thomas.
yes, the Fallout 1 project. That's another one.
Is that on New Vegas or 4?
Yes, yeah, it is. It's on New Vegas. Yeah.
Nice.
That's got a lot of very, very high end modders. Pretty much all the god tier ones. I'm though that being said, I'm not quite sure why I'm on there because I'm just the intern.
Oh, you make it work, Thomas.
Yeah, work your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do, but Jam probably has something that she wants to do.
Yeah, I'm got my finger in a lot of pies actually, because I'm actually on the TTW team as well. So
Fantastic.
I'll be still modding around with TTW and doing a DLC size mod to go with TTW. So that's another thing that I'll be on. Fallout 1 mod that we'll be working on. And also, I recently joined the San Francisco mod, which is getting started back up again.
And is the San Francisco, is that New Vegas or 4?
Yeah, this is all New Vegas.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can just assume if it's us that it's New Vegas because none of us really want to work in the Fallout 4 engine because we know how this engine works back to front, inside out. None of us have really worked.
Yeah, we can do things in this that you can't actually do in Fallout 4. So, yeah.
And is that, just to ask, is that because of not, I don't know, enough, that JIP has so much that helps with scripting, or is that just the fact that Fallout 4 is kind of a different game?
Well, from my
it's a
perspective,
bit of all of it, honestly.
Yeah, from my perspective, the creatures and the animation, you're moving in that a different system with the Havoc animation system, and that's very tool specific, and we don't really have access to those tools.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that Jam and TG and even Jack, you said you'll still be working on New Vegas stuff because I still enjoy playing New Vegas. It is still a fun game.
I like playing it when I get the chance.
We don't play it anymore. We just work on it.
Yeah. I haven't played a proper
I only played it when it
playthrough.
first came out.
Yeah. I don't think Jack even finished the game.
I didn't. I met Yes Man in his little basement, and that was about it.
Yeah.
You're like, I can make a better version of this.
Yeah, pretty much. I haven't played like a proper playthrough since I started back in 2016, 2017, which is kind of sad because I did used to playing this game. I like to play my games, not just slave over like 2,300 NIFs for Fallout.
Well, best of luck to you all in your future endeavors. Jack, that's fantastic with the studio.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, Jam, Tale 2 Wastelands. I definitely got to check that out. And you said DLC-sized mod.
Yep.
Working on.
We'll be bringing Solantas into the world.
Oh, nice. TG just working around those other mods. That
Yeah.
sounds. I like that. So I think that does it for all the questions I had. Anything else we want to discuss, or?
I don't really have anything other than to say, we understand that it's been a long wait. You're all busting at the seams to play the mod. We're working really hard to try and get it done, and we really want to try and get it out this year. But as we've said previous years, it's not always a guarantee, but we're doing our best, and we really hope you'll enjoy the final product.
Cannot wait to play this. I'm really excited to discover all the stuff you mentioned and just play through all the options, all those branches, and just try to find as much stuff that's, you've all been pouring your heart into these past 4 or 5 years.
I think you'll be playing it for a good long while. There's so much stuff.
I cannot wait. It's going to be fantastic. I really am looking forward to it. Thank you, Jack, Jam, TG. I really appreciate taking time out of your day and chatting, answering some questions that I'm sure people have been pondering in their minds. Ooh, a real quick question. Enclave?
Sure.
Is there an Enclave quest line?
This is where you insert a gif of Michael Scott saying, "No!" Because no, there will not be an Enclave quest line. We can't say what will happen with the Enclave, but it is not a big thing. So stop asking, for the love of God. Stop asking.
In summary, your takeaway from this video should be stop asking about the Enclave.
Well, once again, thank you for chatting with me. This was fantastic, and looking forward to playing the Frontier.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. It's been great.
Thanks a lot.
An absolute pleasure.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the future. Away!
Shoot on the floor, then shoot on the floor, then shoot on the floor. Time to dance.